الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير أنبياء المرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم أما بعد وهو خليل الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طيب إن شاء الله تعالى يا إخوان, we want to continue with the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi rahimahullah. And the hadith we actually going to go over today is a beautiful hadith. And this hadith, inshallah ta'ala, I also have it printed out for you guys like normal. It's going to come and I'm going to give it out, inshallah. But since we don't have it right now, I'm going to read it for you. This hadith is actually one of the hadith where a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, tell me something about Islam that I can ask no one after you. I don't need to ask anybody after you." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Qul amantu billah thumma istaqim." Say, I believe in Allah, and then be firm, and then strive to be upright. That's some translations they mention. Before we actually get into the text of the hadith, there's a few things that we need to mention. The first thing we need to mention, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is actually practicing something that he actually taught us in another hadith. Alright? And this is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Haqqu Muslim ala Muslim sitta." The rights of a Muslim on another Muslim are 6. Who knows at least one of them? The rights of a Muslim over another Muslim, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said there are 6. Who knows at least one of them? Huh? To return the salam, radd the salam. To visit the sick. Tayyib. What else? Right? That sickness may lead to death. And if he dies, to pray over your brother, his janazah. Good. What else? Tayyib. Accepting the invitation. Accepting the invitation. Good. What else? That's 4. The rights of a Muslim over another Muslim is 6. You mentioned 4 of them. How'd you? Alright, tayyib. Alright. Tashmeet or atis. Alright, if a person sneezes, but he has to say alhamdulillah. If he doesn't say alhamdulillah, then you should remain quiet. But if he says alhamdulillah, fa yarhamakallah. Alright? Responding to the person who sneezed. And then the last one? Accepting perfume? No, but if you have some, I'll take some. Well, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned the 6th thing here is if the person seeks advice, then to advise him. And we found within this hadith, the man came to the Prophet ﷺ seeking advice. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he gave him what he wanted. He said, "Qul amantu billah thumma istaqim." Say, I believe in Allah, and then strive to be upright. Now, we're going to go actually into the hadith, and once we give it out, inshallah ta'ala, you have notes to take it from. But the thing about this hadith, a lot of people, they misunderstand the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said, strive to be upright. Some people feel as if the person has to be perfect. He's not going to commit any sins. Say, I believe in Allah and then be perfect. The Prophet ﷺ never said that. You will never ever be perfect. That's the reality. Me, none of us. And this also, and we know this because the Prophet ﷺ said what? كُلُّ بَنِي آدَمْ خَطَّاءٌ وَخَيْرُ الْخَطَّائِينَ التَّوَّابُونَ. All of the children of Adam, they will always make mistakes. They're habitual sinners. They're always going to continue to make mistakes. But the best of those who make mistakes are those who do what? They repent. They ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. So we can't understand this statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he said, say I believe in Allah and then be perfect. Abadan. Rather, say I believe in Allah and then strive to be upright. So we also want to give an ayah. So I want you to go to this ayah. It's in Surah Fussilat, ayah number 6. Whoever has it in their phones, they need to go to Fussilat, ayah number 6. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also says, he says, strive to be upright, and then he says, and also seek forgiveness. The scholars of Islam, they also mention that based upon this, is that it goes to show that while a person is striving to be upright, he's going to make mistakes. He or she is going to make mistakes. No one is not free from mistakes. So we want to get this verse. Fussilat, ayat number 6. Who has it?
It says, say, I am only a mortal like you. It is revealed to me that Your Allah is one Allah. Therefore follow the right way to him and ask his forgiveness, and woe to the polytheists.
All right, so it says, say that part again, the last part?
Woe to the polytheists.
No, before that.
Allah is one, therefore follow the right way to him and ask for his forgiveness.
Follow the right way to him and then ask for forgiveness. This also shows that once again, in the right path, a person is going to end up doing what every now and again? You're going to come up short. You're going to sin. You're not going to be perfect. So this is what when the Prophet said, "Qul amantu billahi thumma istaqim," say I believe in Allah and then strive for perfection. And then strive to be upright. But provided you are going to make mistakes. Having said this, the Prophet ﷺ also taught us a principle here. That Iman, your faith, precedes any action. Because he said, "Qul amantu billah." Say I believe in Allah and then strive to be upright. He didn't say act first and then believe. Y'all see that? So therefore, as the scholars of Islam, they also mention a few things here. If a person wishes to have his actions accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he has to do a few things. The first thing he has to do what? If he wants his actions to be accepted by Allah. Before that. Huh? His intention. Okay, sure. Person has to be. He has to believe. He has to believe. If a person does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his actions are not accepted by Allah. And what is the proof of this? Now we're not saying there's not non-Muslims who do good things. There are non-Muslims who do good things. But for the action to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first condition, is that a person has to believe in his Lord. The proof for this is Surah At-Tawbah 54. I want 954. For those who have it, 954. Whoever has it, want them to read it. Alright, other than Habib.
The only reasons why their contributions are not accepted are that they reject Allah and His Messenger, and that they come to pray without earnestness, and that they offer contributions unwillingly.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, مَا مَنَعَهُمْ أَن تُقْبَلَ مِنْهُمْ نَفَقَاتُهُم إِلَّا أَنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, and nothing prevented, and what prevented from their deeds of being accepted, except that they disbelieved in Allah and His Messenger. If a person wishes to have his deeds accepted by Allah Jalla wa Ala, the first condition overall that paramounts anything is that a person has to believe in who? He has to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave his advice. قُلْ أَمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. When the man came, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have said anything. He could have said, pray more. He could have said, fast more. But a person who is striving to be upright, all those things come with it. A person who's striving to be upright, he's going to pray on time. Problem who's striving to be upright, he's going to have good character. A person who's striving to be upright, he's going to fast more, and so on and so forth. So this is why the scholars of Islam, they mention when the Prophet ﷺ told the man, "Qul amantu billah," say that you believe in Allah and then strive to be upright. He basically mentioned the whole deen in one sentence. Because notice that the man said, "What? Now you have the handouts." What was it? Was the next Saleh? Can you read it? I think the one that Sheikh highlighted.
On the authority of Abdul, and he is
It's a Sufyan bin Abdullah.
And he is also called Abu Umrah, Sufyan bin Abdullah,
Al-Thaqifi,
who said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, tell me something about Al-Islam, which I can ask of no one but you.
Alright, stop. Here, as we know, the man said, tell me something about Islam. So therefore the answer encompasses everything about Islam. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Qul amantu billah." Say I believe in Allah and then strive to be upright. Because that encompasses everything else. A person strives to be upright, he's going to make sure that he's on his deen. If he commits a sin, he's going to make sure he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. He's going to pray more. Like I said, he's going to treat his family with respect and so on and so forth. So the Prophet ﷺ, he encompassed the whole deen in one sentence. Say I believe in Allah and then be upright. We want to mention something else, inshallah ta'ala. Being that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, be upright, strive to be upright. The question has to be asked, how do we? How do we attain this? You understand? How do we attain this? Because we can't be left to our own whims to obtain this. There has to be some type of instructions. How do we get there? How do we get to this level of Islam that the Prophet ﷺ is talking about? So the scholars of Islam, they mention 8 things. They mention 8 things. Right? For those who have a pen, I want them to write it down, inshallah ta'ala. Or you can take your notes in your phone or whatever you want to do. So we're talking about 8 things that a person can do to be considered to be someone who is upright in his deen, someone who is striving for perfection. The first thing, as the scholars of Islam, they mention, and it comes in another hadith, احفظ الله يحفظك. Be mindful of Allah. Be mindful of the parameters that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set forth. يحفظك. Allah will protect you. As it comes in a hadith, 19 and 40 hadith. If a person strives to be upright, he's trying to be upright, and he's mindful. Someone who has this attitude is going to pray on time. He's not going to delay his prayer. He's not going to pray also at the time of Isha. All right? He's going to respect the parameters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he has put forth. And in return, Allah is going to do what? Allah is going to protect him. This protection of Allah, as the scholars have mentioned, it comes in 2 ways. All right? Now, it's just kind of important that we pay attention to this. The protection of Allah either comes from protecting that person from the traps of shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions in Surah Ibrahim. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, when there's a conversation between him and shaitan, and shaitan promises, and he tells Allah that I'm going to misguide all of your servants, except for what? Except for al-mukhlaseen, except for those who are sincere. The shaitan can't do nothing with this individual. Someone who wishes to have this protection of Allah, he or she has to, 1, respect their Lord and honor the parameters that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set forth. Praying on time, fasting, speaking good, not using foul language, respecting other people, respecting the parameters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he does that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do what? He will protect him. The second protection that we're talking about, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ihfaz Allah yahfazak." Be mindful of Allah and Allah will protect you. We said the first protection comes from the protection of protecting a person from the traps of shaitan. The second protection comes from protecting the person from his evil desires. Every last one of us, I don't care who you are, myself included, we all have evil desires. Shahwat. Every last one, I don't care who you are. This is a reality. Every last one of us has those desires. The proof for this is that, and that Allah will protect the person from sins if he's mindful of the parameters of Allah, is in Surah Yusuf. In Surah Yusuf, what happens here is Yusuf is being seduced by the wife of Aziz. When she tries to seduce Yusuf, Yusuf says what? Ma'adh Allah, may Allah forbid. Innahu Rabbi. He's talking about her husband. He was good to me. And then later on within that verse, Allah says something about Yusuf. Indeed, he was from our what? Ibad al-Mukhlaseen. He was from our sincere servants. If a person is sincere and is striving to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jal will guide them and stop them from eventually continuing falling into sins. If the person is sincere. Ihfaz Allah yahfazak. I'll give you an example. Let's give a tangible example. Let's say a person is struggling with smoking cigarettes, for an example. It's a reality. If he is sincere, he might not be able to stop the first time, the third time, the fifth time. But eventually, if he is sincere with his Lord, maybe the 20th time he goes to pick up the cigarette, he's going to say what? Astaghfirullah. That eventually that sincerity is going to override his desire of wanting to commit sin. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing what? It's protecting the individual. Y'all see that? So to reach the level of istiqamah, the first thing the person has to do is respect the parameters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and honor them. Praying on time. Treating others with respect. Anything that Allah has legislated, at the very least, he's going to try. even if he comes up short, his intention is what? To try. That's the first thing. The second thing that a person has to do, inshallah ta'ala, if he wishes to obtain this level of istiqamah. The second thing is, know that which will take him away from the truth. Know that which will take him away from the truth. It comes in poetry. Who knows it? Out of Tushar. I knew evil. Right? I knew evil, but not for the sake of practicing evil. But I knew it so I can differentiate between good and bad so I won't fall into it. A person who wishes to stay away from certain haram things has to know what they are. He has to know what takes him away from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every last one of us, and let's be honest, you know what you struggle with. You know yourself, but then you know your wife. Your wife knows you. You may have a sin between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that no one else knows about. To fight yourself and struggle yourself with that. To try to get rid of that. So as the poetry mentioned, عرفت الشر ولا للشر. I knew evil not for the sake of practicing the evil. Rather only to protect myself. ومن لا يعرف شر من الخير يقع فيه. Whoever does not know evil from good, he's going to eventually do what? He's going to fall into it. So the second thing the person has to do to obtain the level of istiqam, it has to know his own personal weaknesses. What he or she falls short in. Then he has to be honest with himself and trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says in another narration, "Man yasduqu ma'Allah, Allah yasduqu ma'ah." Whoever is truthful with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is going to be truthful with him. But if you're going to play these half games with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're never going to obtain the level of istiqamah. Because you're always going to keep doing what? Huh? Falling back into it. Thank you. The third thing a person has to do, inshallah ta'ala, if he or she wishes to obtain the level of istiqamah, is make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal loves when you call on Him. And in fact, it comes in another narration. For those who do not call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Lord will become angry with him. If you want to gain the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it comes, like I said, it comes in an authentic narration. You're not asking a human being, you're asking the one that owns everything. That loves to give. I'm going to give you an example. If you came to me, let's say you wanted some money, just for an example. Constantly reading throughout the Quran that Allah is capable of what? Of everything. If you came to me and you wanted to borrow some money, how much would you ask me for? You definitely ain't getting that. All right. But let's say you ask me for 10,000. But you ask me for that type of money is based upon what you know about me. Because you know that I have the capability of doing what? Of giving you 10,000. Right? But now let's say you came to just a regular brother that works in McDonald's. Are you going to ask him for 10,000? No, because you know he did what? He doesn't have it. But you're going to ask them based upon what? That means his capability. So, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has no limits. You can ask Him for what? For anything. Because He owns everything. There's nothing you can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that He won't give you. That He can't give you. That He can't give you. Because He has no limits. But when you start asking each other individuals, it's based upon what? Their means and what they can do for you. The reason why we also say make a lot of dua, because a person who makes dua, Allah Azza wa Jal will aid the individual in obtaining this level of istiqamah. So there's a certain dua that we all going to learn right now. And before we actually learn the dua, I want to explain what it means. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Ali radiallahu anhu, he said, "Qul." Afwan. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, "Qul." Say, "Allahumma ihdini وَسَدِّدْنِي. Oh Allah, guide me, وَسَدِّدْني. Sadidni in Arabic, subhanallah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Ali radiallahu anhu, say, oh Allah, guide me, but not only guide me, sadidni, make me hit my target. The scholars of Islam, they also mention that this here is in everything. It's in deen. It's in work. Whatever you want to do, it's something that you want to obtain, then a person should mention this dua. That a person is not only asking Allah, yes, guide me. I know Allah is al-Hadi. He's going to guide me. But don't set me on the path. For an example, let's say I ask Saleh for directions. I'm trying to find I-77. He said, man, just go there, go here, go, and just make a right, make a left, yada, yada, yada. I may get lost amongst the path, right? Even though he gave me what? Direction. He may wrote it down, everything like that. But it's different when Saleh says, you know what? I got you. Follow me. I'm going to show you there. It's different when a person asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma ihdini, guide me, but just don't set me on the path. Do what? Wasadidni, make me hit my target. And it's also mentioned that the one who mentions this dua will never go wrong. It is as if it's an arrow being shoot at a target. He's always going to hit it. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Ali, say Allahumma. And we all going to learn this dua right now. So Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. One last time. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Inshallah ta'ala, when a person is making sujood from now on, or when she's making dua, or he has something they want to obtain, let this be a dua that you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. Oh Allah, just don't put me on the path. I want to be on the path, and I want you to make me hit my target every last time. There's a difference. The one who makes dua and he's confident that Allah is just going to answer him and is going to set him on the path. So a person who wishes to obtain istiqamah, we mentioned that this is the third thing, that a person has to do what? Call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we also used to say in Jahiliyyah, closed mouth don't get fed. You don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're going to get the anger of Allah. If that's what you're looking for, uskut, keep your mouth closed. But no one is looking for the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, one of the things he can say is, Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Oh Allah, guide me, but don't only guide me. I want to hit my target every last time. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in regards to that, he used to also tell his companions, Saddidu wa qaribu. Strive out to hit your target. But if you don't, at the very least, try to come what? Try to come close to it. This is the mindset of a Muslim. He doesn't sell himself short dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to obtain the level of istiqamah, you can't have this attitude with Allah that you're always going to give him the bare minimum. Get up for tahajjud. It's advice for myself first and foremost before anybody else. Fast at least Monday and Thursday. Try to do something. And it's kind of funny how we want all these blessings from Allah, but we give Allah the bare minimum. You only want to pray 5 times a day. I'm not saying it's not wrong, but you only want to pray 5 times a day, but you want all the money in the world. You want this, you want that. What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the same attitude with you to give you the bare minimum? All you need is bread and water. That's it. Don't ask me for nothing. How would you feel? You can't desire something and want something and in return give Allah just the bare minimum. You have to strive. First and foremost, it's advice for myself. First and foremost, for anybody else. The fourth thing that the scholars of Islam, they mention, if a person wishes to obtain the level of istiqamah, is that a person has to have good companions. has to have good companions. And this is because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ar-rajulu ala dini khalili." The man, yes. I'm gonna go over at the end. All right. So the fourth one, I'm gonna go over there. The fourth one is that a person is on the what? The religion of his friend. So therefore, he should have what? He should have what? Ikhwan? Good friends, good companions, good company. Because when you come up short, they're gonna do what? They're gonna help you out. The scholars of Islam in the past, they said a man should have two types of friends. A person should have two types of friends. And after I give these conditions, don't start looking at your friends like that. We can't be friends anymore because you don't fit these conditions. All right? So the scholars of Islam, they mention that the first type of friend that a person should have, he should have someone around him that he feels that is more knowledgeable than him. Because he's going to be what? First of all, he's going to be ashamed to do certain things around him. Not only that, he's always going to see it as competition. I'm trying to strive. I need to get like that. The second type of friend that a person needs to have is that he has to have a friend that he deems to be not as knowledgeable as him. What this is going to do is going to put a person in between. He's going to be balanced. The reason why a person should have a friend who is not as knowledgeable as him is because, inshallah ta'ala, if he is a person who is upright, what that is going to do is that he's always going to be on top of his game, because if someone who is not knowledgeable as him asks him a question and he doesn't know, he's going to feel like what? He's going to feel like what? He's going to feel ashamed. Man, how did I know that I got to stay on my game? He's always going to feel like I need to stay on part. Come on, I know my boy, he's going to ask me tomorrow. He's going to ask me, did you read Quran today? And I'm going to be ashamed, I haven't read Quran in like 2 weeks. So you need to have someone that's not as knowledgeable as you, because it's going to push you to stay in check so you can bring him to your level. You need someone that's more knowledgeable, what, to not make you arrogant and you can stay in between. Everyone see that? Play. The next thing, as the scholars of Islam that they mentioned, what a person needs to do if he wishes to obtain the level of istiqamah, is that a person should constantly think about Jannah. What are you doing this all for? You just don't go shopping to the grocery market. You don't know what you're going in there for. You have some type of idea what you want. So a person wishes to obtain this level of istiqamah. He wants the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants all the rewards in Jannah, everything that comes with it. The houses, the wives, the this, the that, so on and so forth. Because he wants that, he's going to do what? He's going to do what, ikhwan? He's going to strive for it. If somebody has something you want, you're going to do what? You're going to strive for, I want that. We're going to mention one hadith in regards to this, to strive, to think about it and striving for it. There was a hadith in Sahih Muslim on the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the last man to enter Jannah. And it's a long hadith. I'm not going to mention hadith. I'm just going to mention the shahid, the point of the hadith. The point of the hadith is that towards the end, this man came out of the hellfire. And Allah took him from one place to another place. And for those who want to read the hadith, go back to it, because you have a lot of other stuff to cover. But the point is, when a man finally entered Jannah, he's the last man to enter Jannah. When he entered Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, tamanni shay, desire something. The man starts thinking about different things. So he can't think of nothing else. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ask for this, ask for that. Perhaps you want this, perhaps you want that. Then he says something in the hadith. He says, have this and 10 times the like of it. The scholars of Islam, they mention, and from the Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he says what it means by have this and 10 times the like of it is that the lowest man in Jannah will have a space in Jannah the size of 10 earths. The lowest man in Jannah will have a space in Jannah the size of 10 earths. And he came out of the hellfire. How much more for the person who never ever goes to hell to begin with? Now some people, they say, they can't even imagine that. What do you mean 10 earths? How many times can we fit And I just want y'all to think about this just as a science point. The sun is bigger than the earth, or is the earth bigger than the sun? Huh? Which one is it? The sun is bigger than the earth. I did this a long time ago in school, but when you get my age, you kind of forget, all right? So what happened was the earth, you can fit the earth inside of the sun. I think it was like 300 times or something like that, something crazy like that. And I think Jupiter, you can do it like 1,000, 3,000 times or something like that. There's other stars that are 1,000 times bigger than the sun that we have. There's galaxies that's bigger than the one we live in, and so on and so forth. And then you have what? Jannah. If you can fit the earth inside of the sun how many times, giving someone a space in Jannah the size of 10 earth is what? It's nothing. But this man is what? Alim. Not only that, Ikhwan, the hadith doesn't stop there. It goes on to mention when this man is in Jannah, 2 of his wives from the Hurra'in, they come to him. And they say, Alhamdulillah, alladhi ahyaka lana wa ahyana lak. The wives of the Hurra'in, the 2 wives of the women of paradise, they come to this man and they say, all praise is due to Allah who kept you alive for us and us alive for you. This man will say, Wallahi, no one got nothing like I got. Based upon this man's what? The lowest man in Jannah. But what we're trying to accomplish, Akhwan, is that if a person thinks about these rewards now, chances are he's going to do what? He's going to strive for it. He's going to strive for it. All right? And I think what we should do as well, one day we're going to have a class about the rewards of Jannah that the men will have and the rewards of Jannah that the women will have. All right? So, one of the things as well, we should think about Jannah. Another thing is reading the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reading the Quran. If a person wishes to obtain the level of istiqamah, he has to read the instructions. This is not putting a TV together. This is the dunya. This is your life. Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you the manuscript. You have to follow it. You have the best of the doctors giving you the medicine. Like anyone who has a sickness, if you take the medicine and put it in your pocket, what happens to you? Well, if you're sick and you put the medicine in your pocket, what happens? You're going to stay sick. That sickness may turn into what? You might die. You have the best prescription, the Quran and the Sunnah. But if you don't follow it, you have nothing. It's like nothing. Get some medicine? You brought some medicine? Oh, but that's hot medicine. I thought it was cold. طيب. Another thing that a person has to do, we said reading the book of Allah. It comes in at-Takwir. Surah at-Takwir. I want everyone to get it. Verse number 27. Takwir. $27. Who has it? We said one way to gain istiqamah, a person should do what? To read the book of Allah. Who has it? You have it? I mean?
You said Takwir 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to read it out loud?
Both English or
No, just the English.
it is not but a reminder for the nation.
Keep going.
For him among you who pleases to go straight,
Mm-hmm.
and you do not please accept that Allah please the Lord of the world.
Tell you, but go at the beginning. What does Allah say in the beginning of that verse?
Not what a reminder.
It's not but a reminder. Talking about the book of Allah. It's a reminder for you. For he who desires to do what? I mean,
Pleases to go straight.
pleases to go what? Straight. Istiqamah. It's to read the book, read the instruction. It's advice for myself first and foremost. What happens living in America, you get busy, you might forget, so on and so forth. As the scholars of the past, they said, Wallahi, they found that the more times that they read the Quran, they found more barakah in their day. They found more rewards in their day. More blessings in their day. This is a must. This must of the sa'ad. This is the source of your happiness. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't let a day go by without you reading at least one verse in the Quran. one word. It's the words of Rabbul Alameen. It's the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a cure for you. So that's one of the things. Another thing that we mentioned, how many things we mentioned so far? 6.
What was 6?
Huh?
Reading the Quran.
Reading the Quran.
Yeah, that was 6.
That was 6. The 7th thing, ya ikhwan, that a person has to do if he wants to obtain the level of istiqamah is talab al-ilm. He has to learn the religion. You can't practice istiqamah. You can't be upright if you're jahil, if you're ignorant. You don't know the religion of Allah. The only way you can lift this ignorance on you is to learn the deen. Alright? And we're not going to spend too much time because we want to cover some other stuff. The next thing, the 8th thing, right? We're number 8. And I want everyone to focus on this. A person has to be in the middle path. I'm going to repeat all of them just to make sure we got 8. He has to be in the middle course. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Inna ad-deena yusr." That the religion is what? It's easy. He mentioned something after this. وَلَنْ يَشَادِ الدِّينَ أَحَدْ إِلَّا غَلَبُهُ. No one will ever basically go to the extremes in the religion except that it overtakes him. If a person wishes to practice the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has to be what? In the middle. A person goes too far much to the right, it's going to overtake him. That extremism is going to what? It's going to eat him alive. He goes too far to the left with his being lazy, it's going to do what? It's going to eat him alive. If a person wishes to attain the level of istiqamah, to be upright, he has to do what? He has to be in the middle. Can't go too far to the right, and can't go too far to the left. He has to be in the middle. He has to be in the middle. طيب يا إخوان وأخوات. طيب. Also, one of the things that we want to mention is that what is the benefit of being upright? All this sounds good. To obtain the level of istiqamah. But what do I benefit? What do I get out of this? What do I get out of the deal? I want everyone to read Surah Fussilat, verse number 30. 41. Verse number 30. Allah says something special about the individual who's doing what? Practicing istiqamah. Who has it? Sheikh, you have it? Please. Okay, somebody has it in English?
As for those who say our Lord is Allah and continue in the right way, the angels descend upon them.
Alright, stop. In Surah Al-Fussilat, ayat number 30, Allah says, and those who say, our Lord is Allah, ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, and then they what? They strive to be upright. تَتَنَزِّلُ عَلَيْهِمْ مَلَائِكَةٌ, the angels will descend upon this person at the time of their death. Now we all generally know, every last one of us has to die. That's a reality. I don't care who you are. I have to die. It might be today, it might be tomorrow. Allahu Ta'ala A'la. Every last one of us is going to perish. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions everything on it, what? Fine. Everything is going to perish. But you should find comfort that if you practice the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, تَتَنَزِّلُ عَلَيْهِ مَلَائِكَةٌ, the angels will descend upon this individual. Then what happens? Continue.
Descend upon them, saying, "Fear not,
طيب.
nor be grieved, and receive good news from the garden which you will promise."
SubhanAllah. The angels, they inform this person at the time of his death. They say, don't fear and don't be sad. As the scholars of Islam, they also mention the difference between fear and sadness. Is that a person, when he's afraid of something, he may want to display it. Alright? You have some people, when they're sad, you can't tell that they're sad. They don't wear their feelings on their sleeve, for lack of better words. You don't know that they're sad or not. Or a person's afraid, outwardly you can see it. The angels, they inform this person, there's nothing outwardly or inwardly that's going to bother you. Don't worry about it. Because a person is what? He's striving to be upright. They say, لا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بجنة. Don't be afraid and don't be sad and have the glad tidings of what? Of Jannah. But it doesn't stop there. Keep going, Habib.
I got it.
All right, as for
Receive good news of the garden which you were promised.
Keep going.
We are your guardians in this world's life and in the hereafter.
SubhanAllah.
And you shall
We will
have
be your friends. We were your friends in this world and also in the hereafter. We got you. Ain't nothing to worry about. Keep going.
And you shall have therein what your soul's desire.
And you should have everything your heart yearns for. Because a person practiced what? Al-istiqamah. He tried to be upright. That's one of the benefits. That a person has the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of his death, and he has the company of the angels. A next benefit. Let's go to the next benefit. In Ibrahim 27. After this, we're going to mention, we're going to take 5 more minutes, and that'll be it, inshallah. We're talking about the benefits of practicing istiqamah, of being upright. Not saying be perfect, we'll never be perfect. Ibrahim 14. 14:27. Who has it? All right, Musa, you have it?
said 47?
14:27. You have it?
Allah will establish and strength those who believe with the word that stands firm in this world and in the hereafter.
Stop. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that He will give them a fix, He will make them firm in this world and in the hereafter. The scholars of Islam, they mention, man, what happens when you die? When you're in your grave, what happens? What's the first thing that happens to the individual? Even before that, some of the scholars mention Dhammat al-Qabr, the person is squeezed. Okay, no matter who you are, every last one of us will be squeezed. And then once you are let go, you have Munkar and Nakir, they'll come to you. The angels that are in charge of the question in the grave. And as some narrations they mention, Munkar and Nakir, they have eyes like lightning and voices like thunder. فَأَجْلَسُوهُ, they're going to sit him up. It's not time to play around now. مَنْ رَبُّكَ, who's your Lord? What is your religion? What do you say about this man that was sent to you? You get it wrong, torture starts. There's no games about it. It's something a person's going to be afraid at that point. But if a person practiced istiqamah in the dunya, he was striving to be upright, Allah promises him what? We're going to make him firm. He's not going to be afraid in the grave. When Munkar and Nakir comes, it's all gravy, for lack of better words. I got it. But a person has to do what? He has to strive in the dunya. If he's playing around, he's going to be from those who say, la adri. I don't know, I just heard somebody say something, so I said it. Ikhwan, this is the recipe that the Prophet ﷺ has given us. You have to believe, and then after you believe, you have to do what? You have to be upright. People who make this statement like, don't worry about it, Islam is my chest, this is one of the most foolish things I ever heard. Allah knows my heart. And the reason why I say that, ikhwan, I'm not saying, قَوْلُ الْحَقِّ يُرِيدُ بِهِ بَاطِلٍ. It's a true statement, but he intends something else with it. That's like a person who takes a test, a teacher gives him a test. He looks at the test, and then he gives the teacher back the test. She says, where the answer? He says, don't worry about the answer's in my head. He's going to do what? He's going to fail. So just like on Yom Al-Qiyam, you're going to do what? You're going to fail. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, what? أَلَا وَأَنَّ فِي جَسَدٍ مُلْغَةٍ إِذَا سَلَحَتْ سَلَحَ جَسَدُ كُلُّ. That truly indeed is a morsel of flesh in the body. If it's sound, the whole body is sound. And if it's corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. Truly indeed is the what? It's the heart. If you have good intentions, if you pure here, eventually it's going to what? It's going to seep through your pores, and your body limbs is going to be upright. One of the last things we want to mention is Shaitan, then we're going to pray. We're going to start for the prayer. There's another narration within the same hadith. When a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "O Messenger of Allah, basically, tell me something about Islam that I never had to ask anyone else other than you." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Qul amantu billah thumma istaqim." Say I believe in Allah and then strive to be upright. There's another narration where the man went on to continue. And he said, and what do you fear for me? What do you fear for me? The Prophet ﷺ, he took his tongue and he said what? Hada. This. The tongue. The scholars of Islam mentioned the reason why the Prophet ﷺ did that is because the tongue is the translator of what is really in the heart. What a person says is what he really feels. Because it's the translator of the heart. The scholars also mention is because this is also one means why a person will go away from the path of Allah. But what he says, what he or she says, get into arguments. I don't believe this no more. Leave me alone. Shut up. So on and so forth. That tongue will be a reason why a lot of people will enter the hellfire. For what they say. Out of anger. So on and so forth. Making fun of each other. Leaving the religion of Allah. Making jokes. Sister wearing a car, you look like a ninja. So on and so forth. Brother wearing high water pants. So all these different things. That tongue. The person is being held accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why also what the scholars are saying, they say, Iyaka wa lisan. Beware of what? Of the tongue. It'll be a means that the people will enter the hellfire. As the Prophet ﷺ, he also said in another narration, whoever can promise to control what's in between his jawbones, what's in between his legs, then he promised for him what? Jannah. The tongue piece. It's something severe. Alright? Let's advise myself, first and foremost, and then to my brothers, inshallah ta'ala. And just to just wrap it up real quick in 2 minutes. What is the dua that we learned? Allahumma. What's the dua? Who can finish it? Ihdini. Wa saddidni. What does it mean?
Allah, make me hit the target.
Say it again.
Make me steadfast, but hit the target.
Oh, Allah, guide me and then make me do what?
Hit the target.
Just don't guide me what? Make me hit that target.
Hit the target.
Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Oh, Allah, guide me and then what? Make me hit that target every last time. So inshallah ta'ala in our du'as, we're going to make this du'a inshallah ta'ala so I can get some reward because I taught you. Yeah. Alright, first and foremost. Alright. Play it. So real quick, let's go through the 8 things that a person has to do to obtain istiqamah. The first thing, inshallah ta'ala, we said be mindful of the parameters of Allah. Ihfad Allah yahfadak. Respect what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated. First thing. Second thing, know that which takes you away. Know your inner sins, your evil desires. That's going to take you away from the religion of Allah. Alright? Those sins that no one knows about except for you and Allah. Number 3. We said that dua. Making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the one who does not call on his Lord will become angry with him. Number 4. We said thinking about what? Thinking about Jannah. Constantly thinking about the reward that we're trying to get. Number 5. Good company. Having good companions. You hang around bad company, chances 9 times out of 10 you're going to be what? Just like that. Number 6. Reading the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reading the book of Allah. As it also comes in another ayah, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that my people, they what? They abandoned the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you imagine the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam complaining to Allah about you? And the dua of the Anbiya is mustajab. The dua of the prophets are always answered. Can you imagine the Prophet telling Allah that you are from the people that abandoned his book? SubhanAllah. Number 7. What was number 7?
Learn your deen.
Learn the deen. And then number 8.
You have to stay on the middle course.
Stay in the middle course. Inshallah ta'ala. If a person practices these 8 things, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, he will be from those who are upright. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Alright? Is there any questions, inshallah, before we end the class? Also, real quick, does istiqamah, does a person strive to be upright, does it mean he's going to be perfect? No. Right? He's always going to, every now and again, he's going to do what? He's going to bump his head. He's going to make mistakes. Alright? Play it. Yes, sir.
When it comes to making dua, you can't just start asking. You have to say a few things before you start asking, right?
Generally, there are some du'as that are preferred that a person says, right? But generally speaking, the door is open. He can make du'a. Generally, he can say whatever he needs to say. There are some du'as, like I said, for an example, he can say these are certain legislative du'as that if he says, chances are he would get what he wants. We're going to have another class inshallah ta'ala that talks about the conditions of du'a, of how to get those du'as answered, inshallah.
I thought there was like an etiquette, like you have to.
Right, there is certain etiquettes that we're going to cover inshallah next class. Inshallah. Nah.
Was that istikhara?
No, he's saying is there certain etiquettes as far as making du'a. There are certain etiquettes that a person, certain things he should ask for, how he should ask, what he should not ask for, because Allah will never give him. If he calls on a certain name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will have a better chance of getting that du'a answered, as opposed to just saying, oh Allah, give me. Because he's calling on a particular name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ar-Razik, provide for me. It's a different level of du'a, right? Or he's not going to ask for something haram. Oh Allah, I love this dunya, just let me live forever. I'm trying to get money. Allah ain't going to answer that for you, right? So there's certain etiquettes that you have to have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Oh, I can't stand that brother. I hope he die. Right? Just all this other type of stuff. Right? We should not make those type of du'as. Alright? Please, any other questions that come for me in the class?
I was just going to say something. I like the idea of having the hadith, so like you can actually look at it and read it or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I know maybe just something to think about is even from the last one, like once the class is over, like a lot of these get left behind or it's up here on the shelf or whatever. So I was thinking maybe we could do something different. I don't know, maybe some people like to take it home with them, but I think the majority of them get left behind. So
Okay.
I thought about, just having like on the wall, like on a projector or something in class, but then that means bring a lot of other things in. So I don't know, maybe we do something like, either write it on the board or maybe we could have like a group, cell phone group, like in the class and just like send whatever hadith out and get in the class and people have it on their phone.
Okay.
We're not wasting paper and the hadith is getting left here, there, whatever.
Gotcha.
It's just a suggestion if anybody else.
I like that, inshallah. We'll try to do that, inshallah. We'll send the hadith out via phone, text message, WhatsApp, something like that. And that way people can actually follow. And then they won't be throwing around papers and stuff like that. Inshallah ta'ala. طيب إخوان. طيب سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت واستغفر الله وأتوب إليه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.